Xi Jinping's dream to modernize PLA is going to be a massive failure. The reason is PLA's top leadership. The People's Liberation Army of China is having to deal with a real-time crisis, that of its top commanders not having an ounce of combat experience to account for. The latest conflict which the Red Row country's untrained military took part in was the 1979 Sino-Vietnamese War, which the PLA lost resoundingly. Interestingly, China claims victory in that war to this very day. Such shamelessness on part of the Chinese military is a subject of discussion at another time. Right now, the PLA having fought its last battle close to 40 years ago, with the same now resulting in a complete absence of mind on the part of the military top leadership in China, is the issue at hand. According to a South China Morning Post report, lack of combat experience and knowledge of modern warfare at the top levels are hampering the Chinese military's modernization drive and ability to confront growing security challenges at home and abroad. The Chinese Communist Party, which uses the PLA as a private militia, aims at making the military of the country a modernized force by 2027 and a world-class military by 2050. Such plans, however, are simply not moving forward, courtesy the combative illiteracy of the PLA top command. The lack of combative knowledge among the PLA's top leadership is also resulting in China now resorting to open plagiarism from the militaries around the world. China's Central Military Commission, or CMC, headed by CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping, had issued new training guidelines for Chinese forces last month. Hilariously, more than 70% of the document was based on US military guidelines for joint operations. Why? Because China wants to foster integration between the various combat forces and the PLA's advanced weapon systems. However, that would require knowledge of modern warfare and advanced weapon systems handling on the part of the top leadership. Such knowledge is nowhere to be found in China. Within the CMC itself, a grand total of one military man, General Li Shucheng, chief of the PLA Joint Staff Department, has some combat experience, which too dates back 40 years to the Chinese receiving a thrashing by Vietnam's forces. Hong Kong-based military observer Liang Guoling told SCMP that many weapons and equipment familiar to the top brass have been eliminated amid the PLA's modernization drive in the past few decades and replaced with new generation weapons. The modernization drive of the PLA, to put it simply, has hit a dead end. The top leadership, comprising of elders of the Chinese military, have no clue as to how any modern systems are to be operated. Xi Jinping, however, is adamant on the top leadership and senior military commanders taking the reins of modernization and training rejig in their own hands. This because the CCP General Secretary realizes that China's fighting force can be salvaged, if at all, only by the senior leadership. The young military commanders, as reported by TFI extensively, are not even qualifiable to be identified as combat-trained soldiers, leave alone individuals who would be able to take the mantle of military modernization in their own hands. The older guard of the PLA is out of touch with the requirements of modern warfare, and the young soldiers of the Chinese PLA have grown up as little emperors with little to no resolve to fight for their country. The report, meanwhile, also stated that the CCP's overemphasis of political background rather than talent is a big problem for the future modernization of the PLA. The PLA troops are required to submit to draconian Chinese variants of the communist ideology. This creates a heavy filter for the country's force from recruiting those who can actually help save China the embarrassment of losing all its battles. All in all, the PLA's future is anything but bright.